Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are live. We've got BM Boldt here and Anthony Ferraro. We're talking Zappa, Zoot Allures, 1976 album. We want to hear from you in the chat. You like this record? Let's get started.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Now, boys, it's going to be a slow start. We got 2 people watching. Anyway, look at this panel. We've got, oh my goodness, where's
now Byron? Is yours an original?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's a reissue.
Well, let me double check.
I'm going to show this since I just did a show on this.
Yeah,
anyway,
that should be the original, right? With the
palm trees, yeah.
Palm trees, yeah.
Excellent. Anyway, look at this panel. We've got BM Boldt here tonight, Anthony Ferraro. This is yet another episode in our Frank Zappa series tonight. We are looking at 1976 Zoot Allures. Now, it's funny. We thought we'd have Anthony on here because I knew Eddie Jobson was on here, but damn it, tells you what I know. Eddie Jobson's not on here.
He's on the cover.
He's on the cover.
Now I took him off. So he's not on here. But next month for the new, what's the name of that record? New York?
Live in New York.
Live in New York. He's on that one.
Yes.
But we're gearing up for that Eddie Jobson period. So this is good. But we've got Anthony here anyway. Welcome to the Zappa show. Anthony, nice to see you.
Thanks, Grant.
And of course, BM Boldt. Everybody knows BM Boldt. Yeah. Let's see what's happening in the chat real quick before we get... Hey, Christian. Christian's here. And Jason's here. Hey, Jason.
That's all we need.
All we need are you 2 guys, and we're good. I'm going to cap it right there, and that's it. No.
I think a lot of guys are watching Johnny Metal's got a live thing going on right now, too, so they're probably going to come over when that wraps up.
What is it?
Johnny Metal's having like a live chat.
Oh. Well, so are we.
Well,
Flies All Green and Buzzin'. This album for me is Perfect 10, my favorite Zappa album. Jeff, nice to see you.
Words.
Uh-oh, you're going to get Anthony all worked up.
Actually, I think my favorite Zappa studio record is the one before it. One Size.
One Size, okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we're going to talk about this record. This record we were just talking before we got going is basically Zappa with Terry Bozzio, and it's a whole bunch of guests. There's some mix of studio tracks. There's a mix of live tracks. This is his 22nd album, released October 76. This was the only... What?
I'm laughing 22 already.
That's the discography of this man. I mean, he had a lot to say in his 53 years on the earth. Yeah, 52 years. Amazing.
And this came out October 76, came out on Warner Brothers. This was the only release due to some kind of contract. Do you guys know anything about the contractual dispute that he had with Herb Cohen?
Supposed to be part of, what the heck? I can't even think of what it was called now. With the cow on the front cover.
Lather?
Yes. Wasn't it supposed to be part of the Lather?
It all happens at the same time, so it's all kind of related. Yeah, but so Frank and Herb was Frank's manager, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point they started Bizarre Straight Records, and I think that was a part of Verve initially. Then then later they started Discreet Records, home of the early Amboy Duke albums and the previous Zappa albums like Overnight Sensation and Apostrophe and whatnot. But again, I guess what I heard was Herb cashed a couple checks without telling Frank about it. That some of that should have gone to Frank. So there was some issues there. And then apparently Herb was taking some of this money and funding Beefheart's, I think, next album after the prior thing that they had done. And Frank hadn't approved that. And that album, I heard, that got recorded, but it didn't get released until many years later. And I think the Zappa Family Trust finally did release that maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I think. But I believe that a lot of those songs got re-recorded on other Beefheart albums that came out a little later than that. So we've covered that, and that'll lead us into the next album later. We can talk some more about the whole lather thing and what's going on with all that. So yeah.
So Beefheart's a guest on this record, I think, on one tune.
He is on one song.
Yes, he is. So,
but this originally, from what I've understood, is that this was originally conceived as a double album. Yeah. Now I don't know why it was edited down for a single. Has there any? I can't keep track of everything. Was there ever a 2-record set released or a reissue of Zoot?
No,
never.
No.
Okay,
it was just
not
I don't
yet.
think Warner Brothers wanted to invest.
Coming.
I think since this was the first and only time he really technically released an album on Warner Brothers, they were just like, let's don't go with a double yet, you know. And but a lot of the stuff that was going to be on the double, I believe, came out on Lather. Okay. We'll talk about it in the future again.
Because I can't imagine too much he would reuse it somewhere else, I would imagine. Kind of like Neil Young. So anyway, okay, evidently the longer version included Sleep Dirt, The Ocean is the Ultimate Solution, Filthy Hands. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were okay. Well, if you wanted to, you could assemble.
Yeah. And those are on the albums that comprise Sleep Dirt or Lather, Sleep Dirt, Orchestral Favorites, and Studio Tan.
Yes, that's it.
Anyway,
if you've been following this series, Byron and I went through. Well, we're already to 1976. We've gone 10 years, so we've looked at every record. But this record now, everybody, if anybody knows, you might not know that I'm kind of going in cold on these. So I knew all the Mother stuff. I love that stuff. But as we get going, I really didn't pay much attention. So this record, I'm listening to it for the first time. So my initial impression is that this record really doesn't sound quite like any of the other records that I've even heard.
I agree. He changes styles on this.
You got to admit,
it's a lot sparser than any other record that I've heard.
Now, the first track is like your typical Zappa kind of tongue-in-cheek tune, wind up working at a gas station. I wish it was longer because the harmonies on it are absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. But don't you guys find that there seems to be a lot of space, a lot of air? It's not so compressed.
It's stripped down,
which is
very
like
unusual. The torture never stops, especially the torture never stops.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say a whole lot about it yet. Well, I'll break it all down later. I think I'll have Anthony go before me too. I don't want to take anything away from what he's got to say. To me, this album has some punk overtones to it at times. And the Ramones had come out, I believe, prior
76.
But there's some punkiness to this album, I think. Is that the right word? Punkiness?
Yeah.
The way was it the first track kind of has a good feel, a punky feel to it. Wind up working the gas station. I can feel the energy. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, whatever. We're just talking about the record, keeping it loose. Anthony, what's your thoughts about? What's your thoughts about Wind Up Working in the Gas Station?
It's a typical tongue-in-cheek Zappa tune, and it's comedic, but it's genius all at the same time. It's a really great song. When it comes to self-titled tracks, I mean, the title track is just absolutely gorgeous. What a beautiful instrumental. Gorgeous instrumental.
I agree. Well, we must have mentioned the guitars on this record. Well, two things we must mention. Zappa as a player is just on fire on this record, and Terry Bozzio is a machine. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a Terry Bozzio fan, this is a must. And of course, Frank. Well, we could talk about Black Napkin. What a phenomenal track. And I think that it's a live recording from Japan. Is that true?
I believe, yes.
Freaking unbelievable. I think
I don't think Frank ever got his credit, got his due he was kind of considered the 20th one of the greatest composers of all time, but I don't think he ever got the credit he probably deserved. as a guitar player? Because I know Steve Vai said Hollywood or no, it was 1981, New York City. Steve Vai said he never saw Frank. The night that Frank played the guitar on that show, Steve Vai said he never saw anybody else play the guitar like Frank did, and that's
coming from the man.
Steve Vai.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of like live footage, and it's funny because you've got Steve Vai, which you would think would be playing a lot of solos.
No,
yeah. Frank's playing the solo.
Yeah,
which is fine, but when you have a talent like Vai, I would just think that you would think that Frank would let him stretch out a little bit more than he did. But
I think he pretty much was there to do like these incredibly hard guitar parts that the song required to play, and Frank took the solo, so for the most part. But there's just some really complex songs that are really hard to play, and he'd say, "Hey, Steve, play that guitar line for me," So. Yeah.
But
Frank
anyway.
would just kind of sit back for most of the time, just smoking his cigarette, and then he'd wait till and then he'd jump in to take a solo. So
don't forget that was Frank's vegetable.
Yes.
So anyway, thoughts on Black Napkins, second track on the record. Anybody want to jump in on that, Byron? What's your thoughts?
Let me see here, because I haven't gone over all my other stuff yet.
Well, go ahead. Talk about some stuff.
I want to make a few more remarks about the album itself prior.
Okay, go ahead, do that.
I don't know if you mentioned that it was recorded from May to June of '76 at the record plant. Everything was recorded there except for some live tracks, like you had mentioned. In general, this was the original vinyl. The 2012 CD basically matches this. The other CDs, though, I guess the beginning of Disco Boys are missing like a short drum intro. I had never noticed that before. I don't think I've ever owned this on CD, though. Zoot Allures is a pun for Zoot Allures in French, which means damn it. Did you guys know that?
I think I did. I think that's one of the Zappa trivias I think I have in my brain somewhere.
Yeah. It's like we had talked about O'Hearn. Patrick O'Hearn is on the cover, and Eddie, but they said they don't play on it. I've got a bunch of Patrick O'Hearn albums.
Yeah, he does a lot of kind of like not new agey kind of stuff, but
yeah, it's got that feel though, right?
Dreamscapes type of
They're
stuff.
all like on. That's the wrong album. They're on that private music label, I think it was called. Yeah. These are really good though.
Wow, you've got
very relaxing, very electronic.
Yeah, you need that, Byron. You need.
Very similar to this.
Not to. Oh, that's so good.
So good. I got two of them.
Well,
I have it on CD and LP.
I think I might have had it on vinyl at one time.
That was produced by Peter Ballman from Tangerine Dream fame.
Yeah, I think he produced. It's the same label too. It's that private music label, the same as those. Yeah, to me, those O'Hearns and Jobson albums really are very similar. I really enjoy them actually. So Frank plays basically all the instruments on here except for the drums. Except we can point some of the guests on certain songs as we get to that. But it's pretty much Frank and Terry on almost everything. What else did I write here? Yeah, the Roxy Band is basically gone at this point, except for on a couple tracks, you've got some of those guys helping out, but it's gone. And, this album, he gets away from the jazz stuff. And to me, it's just a rock album.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it's kind of got a punky feel. The other thing I kind of notice is, especially on like some of the couple prior albums, most of the songs were very melodic and the vocals would match that melody. But this album is all about like chord progressions and riffs, and the singing doesn't necessarily match that at all. So that's why I kind of think it's more rock and kind of punk feeling. So
I always felt like Disco Boy would have fit pretty good on Overnight Sensation or Apostrophe because it has that tongue-in-cheek type of tune.
Yeah. we talked a little bit about wind up working in a gas station.
Right.
I'll add that. So you get is it Davey Moyer or Moir?
Yeah.
On the backing vocals, and he's got this real high falsetto voice, which really kind of gives that song some of that quirkiness that you were discussing.
It's
still genius.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that song has a little bit of a punk feel to it. And then later on, Frank starts talking in this German accent. Did you notice that too?
Yeah.
He liked to kind of go with the German stuff once in a while on his albums, with like Sofa and some other things. But basically the track, like you said, it's kind of this tongue-in-cheek stuff. And it's about how you can get an education, but somehow you still end up working at that gas station. Yeah. All right. So I'm kind of caught up.
Well, I'm just curious if anybody on the panel or anybody in the chat knows why this album is so stripped back. Why is it basically just Bozio and Zappa with extraneous other, members? What happened to the Roxy band? Why is this? Was this just something Frank felt like doing? Did he dissolve the Roxy band? I don't know.
Well, if you've noticed the course of time and kind of like how things went down with the Mothers, I mean, it was like a revolving door, kind of like. And I know Jobson had said in an interview on Night Flight of all shows back in 1983, you can find it on YouTube, that he basically was going to the school. Frank and he had made a deal, was if you don't fire me, I won't quit. And he was going to the school of Zappa for about a year or two. And this is right around the time he joined. I'm surprised he was able to get on the cover. I remember when I was kind of getting into Zappa in the 90s, because for the longest time, I knew there was Joe's Garage and that was about it, because that was like every Zappa head talked about was Joe's Garage. But when I started getting into 90s stuff, when I started buying this stuff, where I bought Hot Rats first, and then a buddy of mine had told me about Zoot Allures, and I knew that Jobson was on the front cover, but didn't play, but I still had to have it anyway, because that was like my time period when I was really discovering Jobson and buying everything he was on or played on.
Alex says financial crisis and band dynamics.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I was going to say that too. Maybe he wanted to strip down his band. Even the prior tour to this was pretty stripped down, so maybe he was looking to save some money and just thought, well, let's just go with this 4-piece and just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But the tour was bigger because you added Ray White was on the tour.
I agree. But I think the tour prior to this, they had like Andre, what's his face, on keyboards.
Ruth Underwood, Chester Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to rock out maybe a little more. This album, like you say, rocks out a little more than prior albums. It's just
someone in the comments before had mentioned something. This is more. They look at this more as a hard rock record. And it's not hard rock, but
it's very riff heavy.
It's very riff heavy, and I have no issue with that. What's up, Webb? Nice to see you.
The jazz is pretty much gone here.
Yeah,
a little bit, but it's pretty much stripped down.
So Alex said this allowed him to save money for the New York concert later that year. Maybe. I'm sure there was a reason behind it. So
So you had brought up Black Napkins.
Yes, I did.
So that was live in Osaka, and that way you do have. So this was the prior band, I believe, with Andre Lewis on the organ, Roy Estrada on the bass, but I don't think Terry was on the drums. I think it was a 4-piece at that point. This is one of his best instrumentals. It really is. And
I love it.
I'm kind of used to hearing longer versions of this track, because this one's fairly short at 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Have you noticed that basically the bass in this is Nanook Rubs It?
I didn't know.
It is. It really is. It's extremely similar to it. So next time.
How would you classify Black Napkins? I mean, is it just a rock song? Is it blues? Is it, I wouldn't call it fusion.
It's too beautiful to be blues.
It's too beautiful to be fusion. I don't know.
It could be you could compare it to a little bit something that Jeff Beck was doing right around the same time. off of
Yeah,
Wired.
something real melodic.
Well, that'd be fusion. I guess it's more fusion.
Yeah,
Well, I
Kinda.
guess,
it's
but
like maybe a fusiony ballad or something.
Well, I think it's one of the key tracks on the record. And I, like you mentioned, you've heard like other versions that are longer.
yeah,
This doesn't, the thing that's frustrating about this track is that it's too short.
yeah.
yeah, it is.
What is it? It's 4:17.
Yeah,
It
that's
should
what
have
I wrote
been.
down. Excellent, but wish it was longer.
Yeah, it
He
drives me
played this a
crazy.
lot live in his career, and if we talked prior to the show starting, when they did tour this album, Jobson would take some really long violin solos on this track. Really
Yes, the track on the live Philly show from that year in October, with around Halloween time when they started to go on the road, it's like 18 minutes long. It's insane.
Yeah, I want to hear other versions of Black Napkins. I just need to
Yeah, they're out
travel
there.
down that road. But there's so much music out there. Maybe eventually. So DC says soulless jazz is how I would describe Black Napkins. Super Strike agrees with that. So okay, I think we've soulless jazz soul. I think that you could call it that. Almost like Jimmy Smith. That's he was in that kind of vein. All right. Anyway, so I think it's phenomenal. Zoot Allures and Watermelon Easter Hey, both damn good tunes. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's phenomenal. The track after that, The Torture Never Stops. Byron, what do you got on that?
This one clocks in at almost 10 minutes. This, like Zoot Allures and Black Napkins, are songs that got a lot of mileage out of subsequent tours. He played them a lot, and he would stretch them out too. So this one is in the studio. It's all Frank and Bozio.
No. 28-minute version? Shit. Go ahead, sorry.
Probably. On the prior tour with Beefheart, they would do this, but it was more of like an old school blues vibe to it, and Beefheart would just kind of recite the lyrics. It didn't feel like this track at all.
Yeah, this is a very like sinister type track with the kind of like with the moans and groans in the background.
Tons of moaning and groaning. Where they said that live version with Beefheart was almost like a Mississippi blues feel to it.
Yeah.
Well, Beefheart's got that voice. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, I think Willie the Pimp is one of the greatest Zappa guitar solos ever, but that voice that's tough to get by sometimes.
Wait till we start the Captain Beefheart series.
He's got that lightning hop. Is it no? Who is it? Is it Lightning Hopkins? He's got one of those old blues guys' voices. Is what,
where he's drinking whiskey and smoking a cigar.
Yeah. I think it was maybe it was Lightning, but it was one of those guys.
Before we go, I'm going to ask the people in the chat, should we do a Captain Beefheart series?
Oh.
Someday.
I'm going to make Byron study his ass off.
Howlin' Wolf, that's who it is. Yeah,
he sounds like Howlin' Wolf.
Voice. Yeah.
So let us know in the comments if you want to see Captain Beefheart. Because if we're going to do it, let's do it. Anyway, Torture Never Stops.
Yeah,
Great
like
track.
he had mentioned the screaming and the moaning, like you're in a torture chamber or something, and you're in this dungeon.
And then you got Frank like singing very sinister behind it and saying, "The torture never stops."
I love it. I can probably do a little bit less without the screaming, but after a while you get accustomed to it and it doesn't really bother you. But I'll tell you the one thing. I've got the 2012 remaster, and that CD just sounds wonderful.
Yeah, that's what this is. It's from the master tapes. That's what this is.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, it's a stripped down track too.
Yeah,
kind of a slow bluesy feel, but at the same time, it's got that creepy, sinister sound to it. The bass is very prominent in it, and you get some electric piano too to give it a little texture. But yeah, it's a great track.
Jason, we might do a Trout Mass listening party.
Oh, jeez.
Go through each track and dissect it. Right. We'll do it over a course of 6 months. Look for that. The Trout Mass replica.
Deep dive. One
Deep
song
dive
per
Trout Mass
episode.
replica. I'm getting all kinds of ideas. But so far, no one here said, you guys really should do Captain Beefheart. No one said that. So I'm going to assume that's a bad. Clear Spot is a great Beefheart album. Mm-hmm.
I've heard
Webb only
all those
knows-
albums, but I don't have them. They're not embedded into my brain. I don't know if it's possible to embed those albums into your brain or not.
Is that true? Fun fact, the Moans and Groans was his wife, Gail, with a tape recorder.
I would have never thought that, but
Let's
I
just say Frank gave her some direction.
I don't think the credits say who did that on here, so it could have been his wife.
Alex seems to know what's happening. Not the biggest Beefheart fan, but I respect him as an artist. Well, you wait till that listening party. I expect everyone in the chat to be here for the Captain Beefheart listening party. We're going to go a selection from all of his albums. How's that? Do a Metal Machine music listening party. Al, don't tempt me.
No.
Don't tempt me. I might. All right. Anyway, let's go to the next track. I think, well, I didn't say much about it, but I think like I said, I don't mind the screaming at all. I like the way Zappa approaches the vocal on it, and the guitar solo, phenomenal. I'm all about Frank's playing on this record. Next track is Ms. Pinky. Now, someone in the comments said that they thought that was not really their cup of tea, but what's the panel think? Byron, what's your thoughts on the Ms. Pinky?
Well, I don't think it's a great track. It's about a blow-up sex doll, first of all, which Frank would pull out on stage on some tours. But yeah, it's a pretty simple song. You know, you just got your bass, drums, synth, and a little bit of guitar. But Frank's singing in this real deep, whispery type voice. You get Roy Estrada on some falsetto, high, backing vocals. Ruth's on this actually on some synthesizers.
Mm-hmm.
But the verses and the chorus are the same melody basically throughout. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward song. And Captain Beefheart's got a harmonica solo on it. This track will show up again on Thingfish as Artificial Rhonda.
So was this a leftover from Bongo Fury? Do we know? Or did Captain Beefheart just come back?
No, it was from the same period.
Okay.
But I think they probably were still not. I think this was probably shortly after that tour, or I don't know, because I think everything was recorded like we had said in this like a 2-month period, except for the live. So anyway,
did you see that? I'm in for a Beefheart listening party. I can see the chat bitching and crying already. I could see that. God, that would be funny.
Well, and typical Byron, Miss Pinky. I mean, it's your typical tongue-in-cheek Zappa tune.
exactly.
Yeah, it's fine.
Gotta love it.
Oh, there you go. A fan. Steven, shout out to Anthony. There he is in the flesh. Vinyl Gorilla says, Zoot Allure kicks ass. One of Frank's best. The Torture Never Stops is an epic, epic tune. There you go. Got some praise for that. So, Mrs. Pinky, yeah, it's okay. I don't think it's a major work, but it's okay. Find Her Finer.
Another kind of like sinister track of Zappa, and the kind of like singing in like his deep voice, and just another tongue-in-cheek track.
Yeah, it's got kind of a Barry White feel at times, I thought, with his deep voice, That's what I had written down. Kind of a slow R&B style track.
Look at that. Look,
Ray on falsetto again.
Hey, Byron, somebody's asking if they see a fish rising in the background.
Yeah, I got that today.
better go pull it out. Show Alex real quick. Look, yeah, go look at that.
What a record. What a record. Alex, did you see our Steve Hillage ranking with Pete and I?
Super will be one of the bitching and moaning people. God, I'm so tempted to do it now. Anyway, sorry, we are in whatever.
I also wrote
Find Her
Captain
Finer.
Beefheart. Captain Beefheart's got some harmonica on that track as well. And essentially, the lyrics are about Frank suggesting that women like men who are not as smart as them, because he's saying, "Act like a dummy till you finally grind her."
Yeah, I don't think you could make that song today.
No, well,
come on, our wives are all smarter than us, right?
yeah, believe me.
There you
Oh,
go.
Jason,
I'm
you're
just-
right on there. Fish Rising is a masterpiece.
All I've said is I'm just a monkey with fiber optic cable. That's all I am. Pardo loves harmonica. We should do a harmonica, best harmonica solos. All right, so Finer. Yeah, it's fine. It's all right. Friendly Little Finger. Instrumental track.
I mean, it's just the track speaks of the.
The title speaks for everything.
Track.
If there were lyrics to this, we probably couldn't repeat them.
No, probably not.
So evidently, this had like a different layered. How did they build this track? Was it a bunch of different recordings that they've kind of layered on top of each other from different types, from
Frank
different
called
sessions?
it xenochrony. He had a word for this.
How does that work?
He hadn't done much of this prior to this extent at least. He does quite a bit of this going forward, especially on Chic Your Booty. What he would do is apparently, okay, some of this was just some solo guitar. I tried to research this, and it was a little confusing. There was some solo guitar. There may have been some bass as well, and it was recorded in a dressing room somewhere out on the road. And then they took some drums from an outtake of The Ultimate is the Ultimate Solution that Terry played, and they just kind of stuck them together somehow. And he might have to manipulate that a little bit. So you've got two totally different songs that just work when you stack them on top of each other, apparently. It's got a very Eastern guitar solo to it.
Yeah.
And it's really good, I think. But you gotta wrap your brain around what the heck's going on here, because it sounds really weird. What else did I write? So, in the very end of it, it breaks into bringing in the sheaves. But that was a lot, something from a live show, I believe, with Ruth and Ian Underwood and Bruce on trombone and Sal Marquez on trumpet. So that was probably from like 73, my understanding. I don't know why that's on there at the end, but it is. So go ahead and talk about it, you guys.
Yeah, Anthony, thoughts on Friendly Little Finger?
As Byron said, it's the way they layered it, and thankfully there's no lyrics to go with this, because the lyrics would be just, the typical Zappa tongue-in-cheek. Could be, very, it'd be, the whole song would just be filled with sexual innuendos. It's a typical Frank title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool song. The bass and the guitar work on it are outstanding. And the drumming just doesn't go with it, but it works.
Well, Terry Bozzio, come on.
Yeah.
He can make it work. I think it's a great track. I have no problem with it. I like, a lot of times I just rather just have an instrumental, and I think it works. It's got a very, very unique sound, and I do like that Middle Eastern drone feel from Frank's guitar. All right, Wonderful Wine. Wino, sorry. And this was originally on Jeff Simmons' 1970 album. Is that
Zappa produced.
Byron, didn't we talk about that record before?
Yeah, I think we brought it up on our GTOs episode. We were talking about other albums that were on the Bizarre Straight label.
Yep.
I don't have a physical copy of this. It's hard to find, but I have it on my hard drive. I know a guy who has it, though. He's got like 10,000 albums. He's got a lot of records.
Byron,
was that like on Bizarre?
Is that worth quite a bit of penny, I'm assuming? Like an original?
It's probably like a $50 to $100 album. it's weird. Some albums are rare, but nobody really wants them, so they don't sell a lot. It just depends on demand, really.
Yeah.
Hey, Super Strike, we did a whole series on Grand Funk. DC and I did. So we did talk about that Zappa produced Grand Funk album. And actually, we polled the entire people in the chat. And I think we took everybody's rating, and I think it got to around an 8. So people, it did well. So yeah, I think that's a great record. Good singing, good playing. Yep, I like it. Is there a Zappa instrumental collection box?
Well, the my guitar wants to kill you or whatever series.
There you go.
Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. That 3-album series, which we'll get to.
And a lot of the reissues are filled with just soaring Zappa guitar solos, as Pete would say.
I know. I need to
there's
pick that up.
Guitar 2 CD set as well, which is all instrumentals. And
there's so much. We're going to get that together. Hey, Jim, how's it going? Thanks for popping in.
That Jeff Simmons album was called Lucille's Messed My Mind Up, which is actually on Joe's Garage.
Yeah.
The same song, because Zappa co-wrote that. He co-wrote Wonderful Wino, which is on that album and this album. Frank wrote the lyrics. Jeff wrote the music. Frank sings it on this album. You got Ruth on synthesizers, Ian Underwood on sax, Bruce Fowler on trombone, Sal Marquez on trumpet. To me, it's a slow, heavy track about a wino. Frank is kind of singing it in a
I think it's funny. I love it.
Autobiographical sense, but Frank didn't drink, so he didn't do drugs. But it's a pretty good track. Anybody else?
Yeah, Marlon. Yeah, you're right, DC, because Marlon will just get off a show. It is still on. It's been, I don't know what he's talking about.
We started at 7.
No, we started at 8.
7 my time.
DC, everyone in SOT universe knows it. I like Magic Dick. I don't have a problem with Magic Dick. What a great harp player. I'll give you that. And you know what? I saw Huey Lewis play at grad night in '83. And it was before, I was told this story before, but it was before Sports was released. And Huey was playing harp that night at Kings Island. Holy crap, he just blew my mind. He is phenomenal. And I knew he was supposed to be really good. I had never heard him before. Phenomenal. Huey Lewis playing harp.
He's on Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous.
Yeah. Magic Dick level. Unbelievable. Great stuff. Anyway, so we're on a tangent already. You know, we've been pretty good to keep these shows together, and we haven't been on many tangents lately.
Hey, I didn't go off on, 3 years later, who's Bosio and Jobson with?
Not yet. You'll get there. But anyway, Wonderful Wino, Jeff Simmons song is. I was going to ask, my brain, Jim, record collector news. You still here? Do you have that Jeff Simmons out? What was it? It's Jeff Simmons, right?
Yes.
Jeff Simmons
from 1970. It was on Bizarre.
Year I was born.
Do you have that, Jim? Because you probably would have it. There's Jim. Jim, do you have that record, that Jeff Simmons album? I would think that you would probably have it. I remember buying this at the record shop. Nice. You should do these more so we can finish we'll be dead by the time we reach the end.
We're going to double up a couple of them going forward here.
Jim's looking for it. Okay. Well, it's rare. I thought maybe you might have it. If anybody here in the chat, I figured, Jim, you'd probably have it. Okay, let's keep going. Right. We're getting there. 8:40. All right. So, Wonderful Wino. All right. Zoot Allures title track. Another instrumental. Focuses on Frank's guitar playing. Thank you, Lord. This track, I guess this was a last-minute addition to the record.
Yes.
Gee, many Christmas. This actually kills. Thoughts, gentlemen? What's your thoughts on this?
One word, sublime. It's just absolutely, it's one of my all-time Frank instrumentals.
I love it. Byron? Thoughts?
Yeah. Once again, it's too short.
Yeah, it's that good.
Well,
he normally plays it live like Black Napkins a lot longer than this. This just gets going, and the solo's going for about a minute maybe, and then it just starts to fade out. And I'm like, Jesus, we're just getting warmed up here. But this one's got Ruth on marimba. You can hear it. It's not real heavy in the mix, but you can hear it. It adds some nice texture to the track. Dave Parlato on bass. And the bass is really prominent on this song.
Sounds great.
Do, 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 do. You know, he keeps doing that. Somebody named Luann Neal on harp. But it's a chord-based instrumental, really. But it's got all these really strange arpeggios as well. I don't know what mode they're in or what the hell they are, but it's a real kind of weird interval on those arpeggios.
And in essence, it kind of has a when I hear this track and then I kind of hear Chunga's Revenge, I feel like they're related in a sense.
Yeah,
they're two of my favorite Zappa instrumentals, and they just kind of like they have kind of like the same feel or come from the same family that Frank was thinking at the time. But absolutely gorgeous stuff, just beautiful.
Leather next,
great
live
song,
in New York. Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I wish it was longer. When I see this and see what was taken off, I wish this was a 2-record set. So you could have had these other tracks like Zoot Allures extend out. You could also have Black Napkins extended. I feel like we've been ripped off, you know?
Yeah, but he saves that for the live shows, and usually
I
that
know,
stuff's
but
just better.
still, well, you know, I want more. Disco Boy album closer. Of course, this is a parody about the disco craze, mid-70s. Very sarcastic. I don't know. Talks about the disco scene. I guess this was released as a single, never charted.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not going to chart.
It's Frank.
Why would it chart? All right, gentlemen, thoughts, Byron. Thoughts on Disco Boy?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned that was the second single. I can't remember what the first single was. I thought I wrote that down, but I didn't mention it. Neither of them did anything. I think that this version's a little slow. There's a version of this on the Baby Snakes soundtrack, which is a lot quicker, and I like that a little bit better. You got Frank singing. You got some falsetto backing where the Disco Boy. You know,
it's that Dave Malloy again.
I think it's Davey Moore again, right?
Yeah.
But this is not a disco song.
Okay.
More of a medium tempo rock song. It's not overly heavy though. And like I said, the song is making fun of all the disco stereotypes, you know, about a guy, he's trying to pick up the girl, but it's like, well, you can always go home alone because you still have hands, you know. It's Frank.
Yeah, can't expect anything less.
Yeah, so that sums up for me.
All right, Anthony, what's your thoughts? Yay or nay?
It's a typical tongue-in-cheek Zappa tune with that Dave Malloy kind of like that high falsetto harmony that kind of works well. I actually like his falsetto harmony. He and Frank worked well together. I wish they did some more of that stuff together, but you know, it's definitely it's like how you have the first track and the last track with all the songs sandwiched together, and you have Dave Malloy on the ending track sandwiched with the tune sandwiched together. So it kind of there must have been a method to Frank's madness about how he had the how he went about having the track list in the order that he had on the record.
Yeah, there's always a method to the madness. I just wish it was. That's my only complaint, is that everything just feels a bit rushed and it's short. I don't know, but that's okay. Panel,
so everybody needs to give a score at this point.
Yeah, we're going to take a score, and but first, let me take the score from the panel. All right, Byron, if you're going to rate this out of 10, what would you rate this?
This is tough to rate. So looking at all the tracks, and I'm thinking, God, you know, most of these songs are really good. There's a couple that I could try to take or leave.
Alex, really going to go 5 out of 10? Anyway, I can keep up. So everybody in the chat that's heard this record, go ahead and give us your score out of 10. And I'll compile it. We'll compile it all together, and we'll come up with our rating. So anyway, go ahead, Byron. I'll keep track.
I think I'm going to go I'm going to go an 8.
All right.
I thought about going a little Byron. I'm going to settle in with an 8 tonight.
All right. So, did I do that right? No, hold on. An 8. I got a 7.5. All right. So, all right. Let's see. So Super gives it okay. Alex gives it a 5. Super's giving it an 8. Webb's giving it a 7.5. Sean Barnes is giving it an 8. Jeff is giving it a 10. Look at you, Jeff. All right.
He loves it.
See, Brian is giving it an 8. Okay, sorry, Brian. I gave it an 8. Got it. God, look at this. Look who's gracing our presence. Marlon, nice to see you. I didn't know you liked Zappa. I mean, come on, more than half of his catalog is better than this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean if it's the middle of the road, it has to be a 5. I mean, your worst album could be a 7 or an 8 if you got quality albums. But
True.
yeah,
All right.
that's why I changed it to an 8 because I'm like, well, there's so many albums that are better than this. I think so.
Yeah, well, I still like it though.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I do.
Ken White's going to go with a 9.5. Marlon is questioning that 10. Gary Joyce, the principal, is going to go 8. All right. Oh, 8.5. Okay, 8.5. Man, it's kind of all over the place a little bit. Marlon just came here to hear Byron. Of course you did.
And Anthony.
But Zappa's standards, that's what Alex keeps bringing up. Okay. Patrick Williams, greatest sound of all 8. It's the greatest sounding. It does really sound great. You do have a good point, Patrick. Okay, we got an 8. All right, Anthony, what are you giving this out of 10?
I'm gonna go Byron. I'm gonna go 8 also.
Gonna go 8. Okay. Got an 8. I gotta give another wrench. Okay. All right, hold on. Patrick, welcome to the show. Nice to see you. For those who don't know why I'm giving out wrenches, is really, well, it gives you're a moderator. We're all in here together. It's a community, but it also keeps me track of who has been here and who hasn't. So that's why I do it. So it doesn't really mean it. It means something. It does mean something. So let me go back. Okay, here we go. Now I'm back. Okay, so we got everything. Anybody else have any rating? I guess not. All right, let's calculate. This is going to be a true test.
It's going to be about an 8.
It's going to be an 8.4, 8.05. So a solid 8.
Grant already said 8 also.
Yeah.
My cat already says 8 also.
He got another 8. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Please contribute. Abacus fund. What?
Are you using an abacus to calculate the average?
I'm using the average calculator. Yeah, I should. You wouldn't it be funny if I had an abacus sitting here? Wait, let's tally this. So anyway, there you go. We had a little Zappa discussion. This is great. So everybody rated it. We got an 8 out of 10. So I'd say that'd be worth picking up if you're looking into getting some Zappa. I like this record. Oh, I didn't even give you my score.
No, you didn't.
God darn. I would give this. God, I do like part of it, but I think it's too short. I think a lot of these songs should stretch out more. Well, come on. Black Napkins should be. Come on. It's going to be 10 minutes of that. So I'd probably give it a 7.5.
Right.
Should have been a 2-record set. We've been denied. So we are at a perfect 8. Perfect.
That's
8.
what I picked. 8.
Go.
Anthony picked an 8. We know.
Marlon goes, did Anthony bring up Eddie Jobson tonight?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I didn't get out my green. Was it Zinc? I didn't get out the Zinc album.
Do you have Zinc on vinyl? I have the
I got it
Zinc
on vinyl.
promo. I've got Zinc promo poster. I could go get it.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
I had it. I actually had it framed, but it fell down and broke.
Ooh.
Yeah, mine's got a rip in it. I'm looking for a Zinc promo poster so I can get it dry mounted. Got to keep track of eBay. What?
So I was gonna say. So we're gonna do. For those of you that are asking, we're gonna do Live in New York next.
Yeah.
We're probably not gonna do Lather. Maybe in a few years, we're gonna break out the individual albums that actually got released in the chronological order for the most part. Maybe we'll revisit Lather someday, but
I'll be 70 by then.
But really,
anyway.
Lather consisted of stuff from Live in New York, Studio Tan, Sleep Dirt, and Orchestral Favorites. And we might combine some of those into one show.
There you go. We'll see.
Live in New York has a long history as well, so that'll be its own show. Because do you guys have that on vinyl or CD?
CD.
What? Live in New York?
Yeah.
I don't have it yet. I'll have it by the time we do.
There was a whole censored. There was the original vinyl, then there was the censored vinyl, and then there's the CD, which is expanded. So there's a lot to talk about when we get to that.
Well, what if you looked at Live in New York and looked at the Philadelphia one together? Would that cause the internet to break?
I don't know that well, so
well,
I mean we can
just throwing it out there.
You can, yeah.
Well, if you don't know it, I'm not. And
Well, the Live from Philly is from the Vault. So that was released in 2007 or 8.
Right.
Just throwing it out there.
Does that have Norma Jean Watts or whatever her name is on it?
Yes.
She wasn't with them very long.
No, I think she was just on that tour.
Was it Norma Jane Bell? Wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
No, she played with Bolin too right before he died.
Yeah.
She was in his band.
Yeah, Eastman Black. Yes. All right, I guess we did it. All right, I want to thank the panel, Byron, BM Boldt, and then we had Anthony Ferraro. Anthony's welcome to come back if he wants to talk live in New York next month. Love to have him back as a trifecta here. So, he's more than welcome. And we'll just see. I don't know when we're going to do it, but that will be the next Zappa show. So anyway, I want to thank everybody in the chat. Gary, Alex, Super Strike, Ernesto, Ashley. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for keeping it interactive. Thanks for voting. And we give Zoot Allures a solid 8. So based on that, we will see you. Have a good rest of your week. Oh, tomorrow night, don't forget we will be live on the Contrarians. No, tomorrow. Wait a minute. Today is Monday. Shit, my days are all off. Wednesday, we will be live on the Contrarians, 7 o'clock Eastern time. The Contrarian live chat. So we will have a topic there. So please tune in Wednesday at 7.
Album covers, right?
Album covers. Yeah, I forget what.
How did I know that?
I know, but I'm really worried because I'm not sure if I can come up with something for that one. It's kind of hard. Late Wrench. Yeah.
Is that your favorite album covers, Grant? Or
well, it could be. Martin usually chooses the topics.
Have you guys done favorite album covers yet?
I don't know.
It's probably one you haven't done. The obvious one.
What about the music? More album covers. Oh, Marlon, calm down. What about the music, Grant? What about what music? What are you talking about, Alex?
I think Contrarians is what he's talking about. You guys just talk about covers. You don't talk about music on Wednesdays.
Not on Wednesdays.
Not on Wednesdays.
We have branched out on several episodes though, but I don't know. I'm just a talk show host, ladies and gentlemen. No, Lather's not next. Live in New York's next. Ken, with my kids' wife, brought me a cheap record player for $60. The only reason I played them. All right. What album covers with different... Ernesto, I never understand what you're talking about. All right, anyway, let's get out of here. We've almost went an hour. All right, gentlemen, we'll see you. Everybody have a good time. Have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Grant.
Gentlemen,
Thanks, Byron.
Bye.